Well, let's do some of that.
For the ancient mysterious, what is the topic? Jah resurrected, Jared.
So today we're going to talk about out-of-place artifacts.
Tell me it's not true. Say it ain't so.
Dude, these are the coolest things ever. So there are, every once in a while, an archaeological dig will unearth an artifact that makes no sense, that dates to some period of time, hundreds or thousands, sometimes millions of years before the technology that they uncover was even conceived. And so it really bends our entire view of what history looks like.
Talking about time being linear, like you said before.
Right. Like, how do these objects get
so,
there?
like, what's an example? Hit me with an example.
So I want to start off with a really cool one, and it involves one of my favorite places on Earth. This is a place called Angkor Wat.
I knew that's literally your favorite place on Earth.
And if you don't know what Angkor Wat is, it is the largest temple structure ever built. Guinness Book of World Records, it's in there for this. It's the largest temple ever built. With an engineering and agricultural and
keep going.
Irrigation genius behind it. They're still unsure of how they even built something like this. And it was built extremely fast. Archaeologists...
27 minutes.
They don't know exactly when it was built. But like the pyramids of Giza, it seems to have been renovated and used by later people. Not
so built by some amazing technologically advanced civilization, and then some other civilization came in.
Let's
and
throw
they're
that picture.
Oh, let's do things.
Yeah.
Let me carve this rudimentary basic.
Right. So let's.
Wait, we got pictures.
Let's throw the picture up. This is what Angkor Wat
Jared, you tell me
looks
we got
like.
pictures.
And if I can go here one day in person, I would love to. This place is gorgeous.
Is this a rendering or is this a real photo?
That's a real photo. That's what that's like. Is a good like far out view, so you can kind of see like how immense this is. Like I said, the largest temple ever constructed. And we don't know exactly when it was constructed. But they dated around the 13th century to the Mir Empire. But these guys...
Look at that.
...didn't build it. What's interesting about this place is there was a Chinese diplomat that visited in 1296. And we know this because he kept a very detailed journal about his visit. And when he was there... those towers were capped with gold. What else and what other structure do we know was capped with gold?
Yeah, it's the pyramid. The
pyramids of Giza.
Pyramid of Giza.
And the level of advanced engineering and agriculture and irrigation that the Great Pyramids had and ancient Egypt had is replicated here at this temple site.
And I'm sorry, where'd you say Angkor Wat's located?
Cambodia. Yeah.
Egypt.
Dude, there's nowhere. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing else around
Cambodia.
Yeah.
Doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Unless
it does. Unless they're both cities built by the same civilization. Or maybe this was their religious site. Maybe this was their holy site for this civilization. Like our civilization now, if the Catholics have
a cathedral,
the Vatican
or Vatican City. Okay.
So this would be their Vatican
church. It has churches within it. But like a beautiful
their
cathedral.
Temple city.
I get you.
I'm saying this would be their temple city.
Oh, got it. The city is a religious symbol in and of itself. Got it. Okay.
And it was powered the same way that the pyramids were powered.
Supposedly powered.
Yeah.
With so using
gold capstones.
Frequency from the
it's
earth,
built on top
water.
Of...
is it built on top of a water stream?
Of course,
Of course it is.
It's even with the same sediment, the same
rock?
Yeah, the same type of rock.
Yeah.
It's built over these channels of water, and it has this
it's literally the same rock, like the same limestone.
Yeah, it's exactly. Limestone and granite, yeah. And they have in the center, in the very center tower, there is an area all the way at the bottom where a box sits that looks very similar to what's found in the King's Chamber. So there could have been another ark powering this city.
So what if there's one ark and they move it from place to place?
I think all these cities were up and running at the same time. I think it was one civilization.
So you think there's multiple arks of the covenant?
And that is actually a widely held
Belief
that there were several. Yeah, that there was more than one.
Hit the chat because they're going off.
I think Given Life saying he's a misplaced ancient artifact. That's funny. I like that. Yeah. And are those temples in India? No, this is in Cambodia. Interestingly enough. But yeah, the architecture is one of a kind. And what makes this place so special is almost every inch of it is carved. Even places of the temple where you wouldn't even go, like on the outside gate in the corner area, far off there, it doesn't matter. It's covered in murals and carvings. Every inch of it is covered in carvings. Yeah. And the idea of its design was somehow when you start at that, if you want to bring that picture back up.
Sure.
If you start at that entrance bridge and make your way up the stairs and from each level into the main level, where whatever religious objects would have been placed in that middle, up there, in that middle area, it was supposed to replicate the journey of enlightenment that you would take in your life. So by traveling across that bridge and up the stairs and into the first level and the next level and up to, it was supposed to be the journey that your soul would take to enlightenment. So that's why they built it this way. Yeah. And what's crazy, I mean, this thing has like a swimming pool on the third level, and they don't know how they even got the water up there, let alone how the structure is able to hold that much water and that much rock and granite. And it's beautiful. The whole place is built on an island, and in order to stop it from just sinking into the ground with how heavy it is, it had to have been engineered to perfection. They couldn't have just threw stuff together and see what happens. You'd have to plan this whole thing out before you started and laid one brick. So these guys were way ahead of their time and knew about civil engineering and irrigation at a level that we might barely understand today.
Insane.
It is insane.
So
self-perpetuating power source possibly. Yeah.
So Gio in the chat said that he thinks all these sites might have been part of Atlantis.
Yeah.
He said and all the idiots stole the gold. Yeah.
Right? The morons. They took all the capstones and all the... So we don't know.
They don't know what they missed out on. Yeah. And then they say Atlantis had 7 kingdoms or cities. Yeah,
10, I think.
Then Chase Mack said, seems like a lot of these ancient sites are made of the same material.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
Right.
And then GL said, all of these ancient sites sound like they were built.
Oh, they were built like Atlantis. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure the capital city of Atlantis we discussed on last week's episode
check it out.
Was just that, their capital city. And that they had this global civilization, sites in Cambodia, site in Egypt, a site in India, in the Himalayas. There's so many cool... Oh, South America. Do you know how many pyramids are in South America? There are some like 1,100. No, it's it's an immense amount. And we just did all the LiDAR. That's how we found them. There's like over 1,000 pyramids in South America alone. And they're still just now finding them and dating them and trying to figure out where they're from.
Hey, Iron Man, how did you find all of those pyramids? LiDAR.
LiDAR. Yeah. So why did I pick this as an out-of-place artifact? Well, this structure alone, you could say, is a little out of place based on the date it's given, being from the 13th century.
Okay.
No way. But let's just pretend.
Okay, yeah.
There is a carving on one of the walls in Angkor Wat that is very strange and makes little to no sense. And this is the out-of-place artifact I want to discuss. Okay. Let's pull up that carving.
Okay.
They have a full-on...
Oh, is that a dinosaur?
Carving of a stegosaurus. Not its bones. That is a stegosaurus as if it were alive. That's what it looked like if it were alive.
Is that a carving of a dinosaur?
Yeah, there's a dinosaur carved on this. So how would these people from 1200, 1240, it was built, this whole structure is said to have been built in like 30 years. So these people back in the 1200s, how would they know about dinosaurs, let alone what they looked like with their meat on their bones? And it's not, so this wasn't from like they dug up a skeleton. They're showing you a living stegosaurus on the wall. That is ridiculous. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Were the ancient architects of this site, I don't like dating it at the 1200s because I know that's not true. It's wrong. Whoever initially built this place, did they know what dinosaurs looked like and how?
How?
Did they have archaeologists of their own? Did they have the technology to recreate and render a species based on their bones alone? Or did they see one? Were there still stegosauri at the time of this place's construction?
Humans never walked the earth the same time as dinosaurs.
Right. That's not supposed to have been the case.
That's what we were told.
Yeah. But that's what makes this so out of place.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. What do you think?
Is there a possibility that is like just a hippopotamus and they have like... No, I don't know.
Dude, it's got the things on the back. It's got the horns.
What's above it? What creature is that?
That looks like an ox, maybe, with the big horns coming out of the side.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Maybe an ox.
An ox with the big horns.
So we're talking about Cambodia. So, I mean, local megafauna circa, I don't know, 10,000 BC.
Yeah. What you got going?
Exactly. Yeah. What did you guys have?
So they had
we had Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
T-Rex. No, I just thought that's weird.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Very out of place, right?
Okay. So that's it.
And again, so that's the interesting one, and that's just Angkor Wat. Like I said,
that's an interesting one.
Yeah, the structure itself is an out of place artifact as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and then just having Stegosaurus on it.
Yeah, So we know,
icing on the cake.
What if I told you there was something that was basically an ancient computer that worked like something kind of like a watch that was found and dated to the time of ancient Greece?
Is this something that I talked about?
We've discussed this before on the show.
I mentioned this.
And it was found on the coast of an island called Antikythera, and it is known as the Antikythera Mechanism.
Yeah, and it wasn't something that somebody dropped. They dated it.
They dated it. Oh, yeah.
Fucking from that time.
It dates to like 87 BC. So throw this picture up.
People deserve to see a picture?
Let's look at it, because this thing's wild. This is how it looked when it was found, and this is just pieces of it. So this is kind of just a cool. I mean, at first they didn't know what they're looking at, but you can tell there's gears there, and we won't see gears again until like the 19th century. So
boom.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So you see the picture on the right, how you can see the layers of it.
Yeah.
This thing was composed of 30 meshed gears, and it would track solar and lunar cycles, as well as the five planets, and their celestial cycles. And it was based on the ancient Babylonian astronomy.
Yeah. Maybe you can remind me.
Yeah.
Because I discussed it in an episode. I can't remember what episode it was, but I discussed this as well as the first television, so to speak. It was basically, do you remember what I'm talking about?
Kind of, yeah.
It had gears.
Yeah.
And it moved, so it would literally play a scene
characters
of like a guy on a boat, right?
Yeah.
And a boat like going over water.
That's so cool.
And then, I know. And then, but that wouldn't be the end of it. It wouldn't just be a guy, or just a boat on water. You would play the next scene with the gears. You would wind it.
Yeah.
And it would show him getting off of the boat onto land and walking. It was literally like a fucking TV, but an analog TV.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's insane.
I don't have that one up here, but do you remember how old it was?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I have
older than it should have been.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the idea is cool, right? It's very Plato's
Cave.
Oh,
it was before clocks were invented, so it was gears.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense.
Which is out of place. Yeah. So let's throw this thing that is dated to 87 BC, which is already wild, because we won't see this technology again for 1,000 years. But there's a recreated version. Somebody took every piece of this thing and recreated what it actually looked like.
This is what it would look like.
Yeah. So it's that box with the winding gears.
Yeah.
And it tracked the 5 classical planets and their cycles. And it's so far ahead of its time. It looks like a clock from the future, but it was some ancient, and it's one of a kind. We've never found another one. So how interesting. This is basically a classical computer because of what it's used for, right? It's used to, and it tracked planets and lunar cycles, solar cycles.
And speaking of, you know what's so crazy is Joe Rogan was like talking crap about Stonehenge. She's like, it's just a couple of stones. I don't know why people see it so important.
Yeah.
And Neil deGrasse Tyson was on the show.
Oh, good.
He's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't understand. He's like, it's not just a couple of rocks. It literally predicted lunar and solar cycles.
It's interesting that this was so important to them. Angkor Wat is is directed towards the equinoxes as well. So during those certain equinoxes, at sunrise, they perfectly align with the sun and the moon. It's crazy stuff, dude.
Crazy.
But yeah, they always, and that's more further evidence that because the pyramids are oriented the same way, that you would build a structure. Why is everything oriented towards these equinoxes? So there was meaning to that.
Yeah. Why was the stars and astronomy and
the beginning of the harvest,
important?
it was very important. But how crazy that this is based on ancient Babylonian astronomy, this ancient computer, and that there's only one has ever been found. And there's no mention of it in any ancient Greek texts or anything, right? So it's not like they were like, hey, we developed this really cool idea with gears and such. So was this a one-of-a-kind artifact that they themselves discovered from an ancient civilization that had this future technology? Or did they have just one guy that was on it and made like this cool little device in 87 AD or BC?
I don't know.
The idea that there's only one that's what makes it so special. If they had the ability to make something with gears that could track celestial bodies, why not use it?
Crazy.
Why not build 1,000 of them? Why wasn't there one on every Greek ship? It's just weird that there's only one of these. And it's made of a material that would last. So yeah, I don't know. Wild stuff.
Well, what's Bobby Boy popping? Chase said, "Yeah, Bobby Boy.
Welcome to the chat.
Welcome to the chat, Bob Smith."
Yeah. So
Real
super
name.
cool. Like I said, clocks weren't invented until around the 14th century, like clocks with gears like that.
So bizarre.
So yeah, we're talking this device is like 1,400 years ahead of its time.
So that actually speaks to nobody for centuries seeing
over 1,000
like
years
this.
Building or creating anything else similar to this
for
at all.
10 centuries seeing anything even remotely like this, or else they'd be like, oh, gear. Oh, fuck,
of course, we can use this for all kinds of good stuff.
I can use a bunch of stuff.
We could have a thing that tells us, the time of day, maybe. Not just celestial
we need rocks.
bodies.
Yeah, we need rocks in a certain order.
How weird that you brought up Stonehenge. How weird that they always build these things over these causeways of water. Yeah, they line up with ley lines. If you do the dodecahedron and
incoming episode, perhaps we're talking about.
If you look at maps of ley lines, these ancient sites, you've got the pyramids of Giza, you have Angkor Wat, you've got Stonehenge, all sitting on these ley line areas on limestone and with channels of water underneath them, and there are high amounts of UFO sightings at all of these places, which makes it bizarre. Is there something about, were they building them there because that's where their gods they could see their gods, right?
Sure.
What they considered to be their gods, this ancient technology that they were seeing. Maybe they were building the sites there because that's where they could look up and these things would appear every so often. Crop circles always appear somewhere near Stonehenge. That's where the majority of them are found. The real ones, and we've talked about the difference between real and fake. Crop circles on the show before, and we might touch that topic again in the future. But it's weird that the materials are always the same. You need granite, you need limestone, you need rushing water underneath.
Isn't that funny?
And that's where they place the megalithic structures every time.
Funny?
There's something to that, obviously.
Clearly.
Always oriented towards the equinox.
And we're talking about places that are thousands of miles apart.
Oh, totally disparate. All around the world. Yeah.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
So,
but the same idea.
It only stands to reason that there is... Thank you guys for all the love. It only stands to reason that there would be some sort of entity or some sort of someone or something or some group of things saying, hey guys, use granite, use limestone, do this, whoop-de-woo, a little bit of water. And
we know if we do, if we use this formula, we're going to get this result.
You got yourself a stew going. Yeah.
Exactly. That's cool, man. I love the Antikythera mechanism.
Well, let's talk about the odds of
just all of them.
Disparate societies being like, what if we, and hear me out here. Crazy, astronomical.
Guys, we're going to have to carry some heavy stones.
Yeah.
But I promise.
Hey, I got some great stones right here. No.
You would have to know the result before you start.
You'd have to.
Because it's too much effort.
Yeah, you'd have to. I like it. What else? Do we have any other?
Oh, dude, yeah. Have you ever heard of the aluminum wedge of Aiud?
Oh, no.
Of course not. Let's pull this thing up. I want you to see this.
Okay.
So this was found in Romania near a bunch of mastodon bones.
So, man, I got my disappointed face on. You like the end of Loki season 2?
Yeah.
Him with the green time. It sounds like something I would make up. It really does.
a ghost, a ghoul, a goblin, a monster, a werewolf.
Went on and wrote in the comments, I was going to say that came out great.
You're off to a great start.
Yeah. We got some fun stuff planned today. We got some goods.